What's up, everyone? Jason from JTV Life back here today. Been a little bit, but we got a brand new oven from DeerFam. It's available on Amazon, pretty reasonably priced at around 160 bucks, and it packs some nice features. In fact, it's practically a whole backyard pizza system. It comes with a peel, some tongs, like a heat-resistant glove, scooper for your pellets, and also a dough blade. So make sure you check out some of my recipes on the channel so that way when you get yours, you can be up and running with some fresh dough, whipping up some badass pies in your yard. Let's check out what this thing came looking like in the box. First impressions out of the box, I'd say this is a pretty solid oven for the money. I mean, really, my only complaint, and this is just comparing it to other ovens I've got, is it didn't come with a screwdriver tool to get these little handles on. I know that's like super petty, but if I was to complain about one thing, I would say it's kind of like the Amazon sort of gimme that they give you the tools you need to get it put together. Of course, that wasn't a problem for me, but if you pick up one of these, make sure you have a screwdriver. I would hope you have a fire extinguisher too, but at least a screwdriver so you can get it together. The handles are really nice on the front door and the firebox. The front door is kind of loose though. I have a hard time getting it to stick in there, but kind of from what I've learned in the past reviewing these ovens, this thing heats up and a lot of times changes, and you have a hard time getting the door on or off. So when it's up to temperature, we'll really kind of evaluate that. The stone is pretty much standard thickness. It's not super thick. It's about as thick as the one that comes in the Bighorn, around a 1/2 inch. And it's an 11-inch stone, I believe. It's not quite the 12-inch or 13-inch that you'll see in some of the other ones. The recommended pizza size is 10-inch. They do give you that peel, so I'm thinking as long as you stay on that peel, you should be good. And for a 10-inch pie, I would probably say you want to have around 185 to 200 grams of dough. The dough I prepared for today, they're going to be around 300 grams, so we'll see how it can handle sort of a more doughy pizza. Up at the top, the smokestack has sort of this vectoring baffle on the top. So it looks like you can move the smoke from the front or the back. I don't know if at any one position it restricts or enhances the flow through this. That's something we'll play with when we get it lit. There's also a thermometer, very interesting place to put it. It's inside of sort of the flute, not inside the oven. But like with our experience with the Bighorn, it's really not even cooking unless flames are coming out. So I would guess if you're not getting a reading up here, most likely it's not gonna be hot inside the oven. So makes sense. The firebox in the back is a good size, and it's made of a very, very thick gauge metal for something like this. In fact, the whole thing is a very thick gauge. It's not really touted as being insulated, but it's definitely double walled to some effect, and it does have some weight to it. So I'm thinking it's going to retain heat very nice. The only thing that it is missing is it does not have a feed ramp. They do say that this thing is for pellets, charcoal, wood chunks, which I am going to do some videos fueling this thing on some of the different fuels they say you can do it on. Today I'm just going to do pellets for the first time because I'm pretty sure that's what a bunch of you guys are jumping into using. So we'll see how easy it is to top this off when it's on fire. All right, I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to get this thing going. And I'm going to put full trust in this baffle so it doesn't blast this interior, and I'm just gonna let it eat right here on the porch. Test out this scooper. It's kind of like a little bit more of a survival shovel. It might be better for additions. Check out these pellets too. These things have been in the Florida humidity. They're basically powders and big saturated pellets. See if I got the skills to pay the YouTube bills. Get this thing lit. All right, another honest dig on this thing. It didn't come with the best directions, but fortunately, you have me to get this thing started. I hit it with the torch for about 2 minutes. Got a nice little flame developed here in the middle. We're gonna let that burn on the counter for about 5 minutes, and then we'll probably hit it with the fan. Definitely check out the links in the description below. Get yourself a little fan. It's gonna make all of this a lot easier, regardless of the type of oven you're using. All right, so our damper then should be pellets. Have been burning on the counter for a little over 5 minutes, and I'm thinking it's time to just go ahead and slide this into the oven. I'm gonna leave it out kind of halfway so that way you can get a little bit of extra air. This is my first time using this oven, so I'm not quite sure how exactly the fire is gonna react once it's inside the oven. It's quite windy out today too, so we'll get a little bit of a draft effect from that. You can see smoke now starting to come out of the chimney up top. It's been 2 minutes with the firebox halfway out. I'm gonna go ahead and slide it in all the way, and I'm gonna rig our fan up. It's almost like this thing was designed for the fan trick. Got a couple little containers here so I can stack them, figure out which one gets that fan right to where I want it to be, blowing right into the fire. We're about 10 minutes after lighting our pellets. We got the typical smoke show that is on the learning curve of all of these pellet ovens, but kind of pretty cool because we can play with this and see what it does. There's a little notch right there and it holds the door on. Shut up. Full bore out the front. Out the back, keeps it out of your face, and then sort of everywhere. And I guess if you got a draft going through here, that could maybe cause an updraft in the oven. There ain't no shame in giving it a little bit more torch, man. I'll tell you what. We're on the verge of being there, and this is why you really do want to use fresh pellets to save some frustration. I just happen to be sitting on a little bit of a surplus here, kind of the end, and be trying some new pellets out here in the next couple of vids. We just made it through the trickiest parts of getting one of these things lit, sort of getting that initial bed of pellets and ambers going, so that way you can add more without it smoking excessively or even worse, going out. Let's go ahead and check this firebox out and see if we can add some more. I'm gonna say right now I'm ditching the little shovel. That should be a fun little toy for my kid, but I'm just gonna go to my good old-fashioned Publix keg cup here because I got a feeling we're gonna be able to add quite a bit. Let's see. So another thing that I was kind of thinking about is there's nowhere really to collect the ashes, so I'm not sure at what point we get too many ashes in here. I add half a scooper and see if that'll light back up. We were sitting at about 600 degrees right before we added those pellets, and that definitely brought it down to 400. We do got a flame on the inside though, so it's coming back up. Still got our flame in the back of the oven though, so it definitely didn't go out. Still waiting on that top layer of pellets to get going. This is the bighorn right here, and if you look at the way the pellets feed down the ramp right here, right? As you're loading them in here, they're falling here, but the part that's actually burning the oven is up here. So they kind of feed themselves automatically as they burn and crumble towards the front of the flame. Now with this box, they're all just kind of lying there. So I have a feeling what we're gonna have to do, we're gonna have to alternate side to side on where we add those pellets. I don't think we're gonna be able to have just a bunch of burning pellets all over the place. So Next time I add pellets, I'm just gonna add them to one side, but the flame is definitely kicking now. The oven is burning very well now. We're approaching 700 degrees, about 4 minutes after we added that next significant addition of pellets after the ones we used to get it lit. At this point, it should be hot enough to where we can just add a little bit of pellets here and there and keep it going. But if this is your first time using one of these, you really gotta let them preheat for about 20 minutes before you can go thinking about putting anything in there. And that's because we want the pizza to cook really quick. We want the stone to heat up. We want the walls of the oven to heat up. We want everything to be maxed out when we hit it with our infrared thermometer. This fire is going so good now. I'm gonna go ahead and eliminate the fan and we'll just watch how it burns. So even though this thing doesn't have a feed ramp, I don't think that's really gonna be a problem because there's a pretty high capacity for pellets. This thing burned for a pretty long time, which is nice. And now I'm thinking I'm maybe gonna be using this as kind of like a little bit of a fire tending tool. And I'm gonna push sort of our burning stuff to one side. I'm gonna put the fresh pellets right here. This is really like a firebox on this one. This isn't like a little feed ramp. You got a good little area to get some fire going. So I'm very, very interested to try this with some wood chips. So now we got burning, not burning. This thing has a really cool baffle design on the roof. Those little holes kind of lead the flame up there. And even if the flames make it up the back holes, they still have to travel all the way up to the front to get to the chimney. So I'm thinking this thing probably radiates heat very efficiently off the roof. So pretty cool feature. So it looks like the sort of side-to-side treatment is the way to add the pellets to this. So I'm gonna stick with it, and I use the fan too, because why not? All right, that's what happened to this side now. This side's really going. And then I just put the fan on the side that wasn't going. Right now, the gauge on the chimney is saying just a little under 600. I'm gonna see what that equates to on the stone. So the stone's only showing about 400 degrees. Well, that's not good. The walls are only about 300 too. That's not really good. Maybe our flame's not big enough. Sort of the lesson I just learned, and I'll save you all the troubles, this isn't really kind of a keep adding pellets to it type arrangement. I think this is intended to get that fire going and then just go ahead and make your pizzas. Because once you stop fiddling with it and you get that whole top layer going, it gets hot. We're at 700 now. Now, of course, we were around 575 and it was only showing 300 in there. I'm gonna give this thing 10 minutes of ripping and see how many pellets are left, and we'll see what the temperature of the actual pizza stone are at that point. This little shovel is definitely your friend when it comes to tending to this fire. A little stoking and it really gets it back going. We've already made it through 3 additions of pellets with this thing, fiddling around, had the whole thing, giant flame. Reading 700 here, still barely 400 on the stone. We're just gonna go ahead and throw a pizza in there because at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. Does it make good pizza? And we'll see kind of after that if this thing deserves a redemption round. A little tricky to launch with this when it goes flapping like that. I thought I had it snapped down too. All right, pizza's been cooking now for probably about 2 minutes. I don't think it's burning at all. I think it's probably barely cooking. Stone's not even hot. Look at it, it's still flapping. All right, so I just took the pizza out of the oven. The flame kind of went out. It burned up all those pellets at once because they're all on fire at once with no way for fresh pellets to lead to it. So took the pizza out, gonna get it back up to temp and see if we can maybe finish this pizza off and get something edible. You know, I know some of you at home are probably thinking these pellets are wet, but in the description below, check out the link to my pizza dough, 3 ingredients, water, yeast, flour, handmade. I take it from flour all the way to pizza using these same pellets in my Bighorn. Actually shot that video yesterday, so I know it's not the pellets. I'm starting to think this thing is just not optimized for pellet. All right, fire's been about as big as it's ever been, so go ahead and put our par-cooked pizza in there and see what happens. Pulled the pizza out, and it's got a pretty nice crisp top with a rather raw dough, which is very unfortunate because this is a really good dough recipe. I just whipped up and actually shot a video, so make sure you check that out. But yeah, just super sad to see it waste some good time and flour. So well constructed, yes. Design, not so sure about that. I don't think this is a good pellet oven. Make sure you guys tune in to the redemption round. We'll see if it can maybe salvage itself powered on something else.